A BBC in Crisis special. Time now for a man who worked at the Beeb for nearly 20 years before becoming a GB News legend in his own right. Neil Oliver was well known as the Beeb's Coast Guy before making the switch to GB News, plying his trades as an expert archaeologist, historian and author for the corporation across a series of hugely popular shows and series. He's with me now. Neil, your reaction to this story?
Hi, Mark. I'm sure the BBC would probably like me to point out that I was never actually employed by them. I was always a freelance. And it was about 7 or 8 years, I think, actually, I was making Coast for them. However, so I've never really been inside the tent of the BBC. I was always still really an outsider looking in on it. But as to this, it's so difficult, isn't it, to comment on it because we don't know. We don't know officially the personalities involved. We don't know what has or hasn't been done. It's all alleged this, and a lot of it's conjecture. So it's very difficult. But I think my reaction is that it's sad, I think, that we never have to wait long for this kind of story to come around. It has become almost a culture whereby a few weeks or a few months go by and we hear another story that I think most people would just describe as sleazy or grubby, that behaviour between a powerful, let's say a powerful individual, with the ability to maybe to manipulate and to take advantage in a relationship with a younger person. In this case, it's alleged that a lot of money was changing hands. And I think most people would look on at that and say, that's really not what you'd expect from a figure from within the national broadcaster. I think that's the sadness of it. There's all sorts. There's a film out making huge money in America at the moment, Sound of Freedom, about the misuse of children by adults, and it does seem to be that to some extent we're now swimming in a swamp of this. Yeah. That more and more it's becoming apparent that this kind of misuse of younger people, children. Who knows? Again, we don't know the precise details, but misuse of young by older. It seems to be something that we're being invited almost to take for granted and to assume that, oh yes, here we go again. And that's where we are now, until we hear the specifics. Also, is this an example of the powerful media elites in their ivory towers doing what the hell they want to do, seemingly impervious to the rules that the rest of us have to follow? Yes, there's always that element to it as well. I think there is increasingly a culture of we will preside over and we will tell you lot how you should be behaving in every walk of life, in everything to do with life, around how we're supposed to behave in relation to climate, what we're supposed to content ourselves with in relation to 15-minute ghettos, and all of the rest of it. And then there's an extremely wealthy elite group who do and say as they want. And this kind of what most people would characterise as misbehaviour, at the very least inappropriate behaviour between somebody wealthy and powerful in relation to somebody poorer and powerless, always leaves a bad taste in the mouth. And I think my abiding feeling is just, you think, oh, good grief, here we go again. Obviously, as soon as something like this happens with the BBC, everyone always invokes the ghost of Jimmy Savile. But again, who knows? But again, you would think in the aftermath of that the national broadcaster, which is what the BBC is, whether they like it or not, given the way that they pontificate and the position that they like to hold themselves in, they do have to be whiter than white. And I think they would have to move very quickly to clean this one up, one way or the other. Neil, so great to have you on the show. Can't wait to have you back on the box on Saturday. We'll catch up soon.